Welcome back to the Word Expanded, the Gospels. Someday I'm going to get that right. But we're going through the book of Matthew, and we're going through verse by verse, section by section, trying to pull out something out of sections. We got to Matthew chapter 5. Last time I got stuck on one verse because that was actually the whole section. This time I'm going to get stuck on one verse because I want to. So here's the verse, right? This is such a great verse. I love this verse. Might rank up there in my top 10 verses in the New Testament. And it would be so unlike anybody else's. And I know you're all saying, could you just read us the verse? So here it is, right? It ranks up there with Jesus wept. Here it goes. Verse 2, Matthew chapter 5 says, "And he opened his mouth and he taught them." That is a fantastic, unbelievable, excitable, electrifying verse. If you don't get excited about that verse, you are not alive. First of all, the very first question out of your mouth ought to be, why is that verse in the Bible? It's a very relevant verse because we tend to think, well, isn't that kind of a no-brainer? He opened his mouth and taught them. Isn't he taught them opening his mouth? Why is that in there? Do you know why it's in there? Because most of the time Jesus taught by just living out life with people. Right? Do you know how much was written about Jesus, but how much was unwritten? People were constantly watching, looking for a way to get Jesus, right? They're watching what he's doing. You understand? Sometimes we teach people intentionally by opening up our mouth. What an incredible concept. Right? It's better to let people think that you're a fool than to open up your mouth and prove to them that you're a fool, right? Is the saying? But sometimes we open up our mouth and we teach people, but most of the time, we're teaching people through our actions. So you spend a good portion of your day, every day, teaching people. I'm not a teacher. Sure you are. You teach people every day at work. You teach them right and wrong. You teach them what to do in tough situations. You teach them how to handle the rough moments. You teach them how to take with humility the great moments. You teach them how to interact with people, how to talk about other people. You teach people all day. You are a teacher. Matter of fact, I don't know a single person on this planet who isn't a pastor, who isn't a teacher. Everybody's taking care of people, and everybody's teaching people. But we think that if we don't have the title teacher, that we're not accountable. No, you're accountable. Jesus deliberately, specifically, intentionally, and any other Lee word that fits with this, opened up his mouth. He opened up his mouth to teach people. You know that every time you open up your mouth, you're teaching people. It's just whether it's intentional or not. You teach people when you stand at the cashier and let her have it. Or when you stand at the cashier and you don't let her have it. And you speak nicely to her. You know that those moments where the servers bring you the wrong food, wasn't done the right way, they brought you the wrong drink, they did the wrong. You teach people in that moment. You teach people how you're to react. You teach your kids, whoever you're eating with. You teach the server, the people who can hear you. They all learn things. Funny, I walked around a medieval festival recently, and I learned lots of things and nobody opened their mouth. But then a few people intentionally opened up their mouth, and it was crazy what we were taught. So, Word Expanded. Here's my challenge to you, right? What are you intentionally teaching people? When you open up your mouth, is it intentional? Or are you a little bit like me and you babble for about an hour and hope somebody gets something out of it? Be intentional about what you're saying. Jesus is about ready to rock the world, change the world. He's about ready to lay out the foundation for the kingdom of heaven. He's going to use words to do it. This verse is a fantastic verse. It's a great verse. It shows us what it is to be a Christian. Right? Be intentional about what you're doing. Be intentional about what you're saying. And get ready. Hey, we'll see you next time on The Word Promise. We'll get through more than one verse.